I still remember the day my parents told me I would be staying with Auntie Koko. The sun was high in the sky, casting long shadows on the dusty path that led from our compound to the village square. My mother, her face weary from worry, knelt before me and held my shoulders. Amma, your father and I must go to the city to work, she said. We cannot take you with us just yet, but we are leaving you in good hands. Auntie Koko will take care of you. Auntie Koko was not really my aunt, but in our village, everyone called older women auntie out of respect. She was a childhood friend of my mother's, a widow who lived alone in a house near the big mango tree at the edge of the village. My mother trusted her, and so I did too. At first, life with Auntie Koko was easy. She was kind, always laughing and singing old songs as she cooked. Her house was smaller than ours, with walls made of clay and a thatched roof, but it was always clean, and the scent of dried fish and groundnut soup filled the air. She let me help her with chores, fetching water from the river, pounding yam, and sweeping the compound. I missed my parents, but Auntie Coco's warmth made their absence bearable. Then, slowly, things began to change. It started with small things. One evening, as I was about to leave the kitchen after washing the dishes, Auntie Coco called me back. Amma, come and sit beside me, she said, patting the mat where she lay. I want to tell you something. I sat, expecting one of her stories, but she looked at me strangely. You are growing into a beautiful young girl, she said, but beauty can be dangerous. You must always obey me if you want to be safe. I nodded, unsure why she was saying this. From that night, Auntie Koko began keeping me close. She no longer allowed me to visit my friends after school. Girls should not run around too much, she would say. She became stricter, watching me carefully as if I might escape. The easy laughter we once shared disappeared. Then came the late night visits. Some nights, I would wake up to find Auntie Koko sitting by my sleeping mat, watching me in the dim glow of the lantern. You are my special girl, she would whisper. I am the only one who truly cares for you. Her words made me uneasy. I did not understand why she spoke this way, but I knew I did not like it. I missed my parents more than ever, but there was no way to reach them. I felt trapped. One day after school, my best friend Efua found me sitting alone under the mango tree, my face wet with silent tears. Amma, what is wrong? She asked. I hesitated. If I told her, would she believe me? Auntie Koko was respected in the village. Who would believe a child over a grown woman? But Efua was my friend, and I could not hold it in any longer. Auntie Koko acts strange, I whispered. She watches me at night. She tells me things that make me afraid. I don't know why. Efua frowned. This is not right, she said firmly. You must tell someone. I shook my head. Who will listen? My parents are far away. Then tell teacher Kwesi, she said. He always says we can talk to him if we need help. The next day, my heart pounded as I stood before teacher Kwesi after class. He was an old man with gentle eyes and a voice like rolling thunder. When I finally spoke, my voice shook. Sir, I don't think I want to stay with Auntie Koko anymore. He listened carefully as I told him everything. When I finished, he nodded. You were right to tell me, Amma, he said. I will speak to the village elders. Do not be afraid. That evening, two elders came to Auntie Koko's house. She greeted them warmly, but her smile faltered when she saw me standing behind them. One of the elders, a tall woman named Nanaya, looked at me kindly. Amma, child, Tell us what has been happening. Tears streamed down my face as I repeated my story. Auntie Coco's expression hardened, but she said nothing. The elders nodded solemnly. This is not the way a child should live, Nanaya said. Ama, you will stay with another family until your parents return. Auntie Coco did not protest. Perhaps she knew she had lost. I moved in with Efwa's family, where her mother welcomed me as one of her own. It took time, but the fear that had settled in my heart began to fade. When my parents returned months later, I ran into my mother's arms and wept. I wanted to tell you, I sobbed, but I was afraid. She held me tightly. You are brave, my daughter. You spoke up, and that is what matters. In our village, we believe that a child's voice is like the Amatan wind, soft but powerful enough to shape the land. I learned that day that silence can be dangerous, but speaking up can set you free. My new home with Efwa's family was different, but in a good way. Her mother, Maya, was a tall woman with strong arms from years of farming. She woke up before the sun and expected us all to do the same. A child must learn the value of work, she would say, handing us small brooms to sweep the compound before breakfast. Life was busier here, but I did not mind. Maya's home was full of laughter and kindness. Efwa's younger brothers, Kofi and Kwame, were mischievous but fun. We played by the river, catching small fish with our hands and chasing each other through the maize fields. It felt good to be a child again. One evening, as we sat around the fire, Efwa's father, Baba Kwaku, told us an old tale about Anansi the spider. Do you know why Anansi is so wise? He asked, his eyes twinkling in the firelight. Because he listens. A wise person listens more than they speak. I thought about his words. If I had not listened to my own fear, if I had ignored the small voice inside me, I might still be in Auntie Coco's house, afraid. But I had listened to Wefua, to Teacher Kwezi, to myself, and that had made all the difference. Weeks later, my parents sent word that they would return soon. I counted down the days with excitement, my heart lighter than it had been in a long time. When they finally arrived, the village gathered to welcome them. As I ran into my mother's embrace, I knew I was home, not just in my parents' arms, but in a community that had listened, believed, and protected me. And that was a gift I would never forget.